Life, like software, can be debugged, rewritten, and optimized. After 20 years of coding software, I recoded my life. That journey defined wellness for me. A calm nervous system, steady blood sugar, trust in the body, and doing what you love. This season, I'll walk you through that transformation. In future seasons, I'll be joined by guests to deepen the conversation. In today's episode, I'll be sharing how I invite clients to be hippie with me to release old trauma still living in the muscles with a simple, powerful process. I'm Mary Toscano, and this is Coding Wellness. In previous episodes, I talked about how I left engineering to spend more time with my daughter, Tiana. And while she was in school, I decided to go to massage school and then nutrition school with no intention of doing either for a living. But the stock market crashed and I needed income fast, so I took a job doing massage at a spa in a busy coastal resort. I shared how through my massage work, I started to notice patterns emerging in what the clients told me about their lives and what I felt under my hands. I reached the point where I could put my hands on someone and know things about them without them saying a word. I also started coming upon areas of the body I described as landmines, and these landmines were associated with some old memory, emotion, or trauma. In this episode, I want to talk more about the landmines and the 4-step process I developed to move them out of the body. And again, I'm going to try to present this inherently unstructured information in a logical, structured way. I want to first take a step back and say that as an engineer, I valued logic and data, believing that all answers came from the mind. I had no idea what the body had to offer in terms of guidance, emotion, or connection. But the more massage work I did, the more that mindset started to change. Working with my clients, I began to notice their bodies seemed to have a presence of their own, like a best friend who lives with them, as them, and yet somehow still separate. Their body felt like someone who adored them. And I started to realize what the body needs is the same thing we all need. And what many of my clients needed most was simply to be listened to, intently, compassionately, and without judgment. And just that alone is healing. So I learned to listen to my clients in the most open, accepting way I could. And that's become one of the most powerful healing tools I have. And just like us, the body also wants to be deeply listened to. And when it is, something inside starts to soften. So when I came across one of these landmines, the most important thing I could do is just stop and listen. Glide back and forth over the muscle and listen. I'm trying to think of how to explain what a landmine feels like under my hand. Think about those times when your eye twitches and it just kind of twitches on its own, with no control over it. Well, it's kind of like that, but with bigger muscles in the body. I'd be gliding over the muscle and suddenly it would go bam, 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 like a little gremlin punching back at me, or like a bubbling mudpot. It actually felt like the body was trying to communicate with me. I started to feel like the body thought I was Dr. Dolittle, like it was actively trying to talk to me. And sometimes it felt like it was saying, "Oh, finally, someone is listening. Well, I've got this, and this to complain about, and this happened to me, and then this happened to me." It just felt like the body needed to speak. So I'd go back and forth over the muscle and repeatedly say in my head, "I'm listening. I'm here for you. Tell me more. I'm not going anywhere. I have all the time in the world for you. I'm listening. I'm here for you. Tell me more. And I would just repeat that mantra in my head until the muscle settled down. Because just like us, the body just wants to be heard. And once the body felt listened to, the next thing I always said was, thank you. Just like us, the body wants to be appreciated too. So these landmines were tied to memories, emotions, and trauma that were stored in the muscles and living there as energy. When something traumatic or overwhelming happened, something the person couldn't fully process, their body would step in and take the hit. It would store the pain so they could keep going. Now, I don't know the exact mechanism of how it gets stored. Maybe the muscle clenched during the trauma. Maybe the body just knew what to do. I really don't know. What I do know is that these landmines can be anywhere in the body. And over the years, the place I've found the highest concentration was in the left glute. Yep, the left butt cheek. And that's where things really started happening for me, the left glute. I'd be working over that area and out of nowhere, clients would just burst into tears. Not from pain, at least not physical pain, but from something deep, something old, some hidden memory that got triggered. And a lot of the time, they didn't even know what the memory was about. It was just energy, some unprocessed feeling finding its way to the surface. This kept happening, and at first, I didn't know what to do with it. Then one client story made everything fall into place. This woman came to the resort, and I'll never forget the first time I worked on her. It was like a mystical experience. I was going over her left glute and hit one of those landmines, but instead of the muscle resisting like it usually did, I seemed to hook into it. And then time just stopped. It was like being in a car crash, that weird slow motion feeling where seconds stretch into minutes. The energy in the room shifted so intensely, it felt like we were slipping through a wall at Hogwarts. Everything around me faded. The lighting in the room even shifted. It felt like I was in another dimension. And then I started saying things to her about the trauma held in that muscle, like I was some kind of authority. But I wasn't. I had no idea where the words were coming from. It was like I was watching myself from above, listening, almost like a witness. Her left glute was packed with landmines. Each one sent a surge of energy through me, like a strong current. By the end of that session, I was drenched in sweat. I had to go change my shirt before the next client. That first session with her was transcendent. Subsequent sessions were just as powerful, so much so that if I knew ahead of time she was coming, I'd bring an extra shirt. And to this day, whenever I see her, I say, if I ever write a book about my massage experiences, I'm going to devote a whole chapter to your butt. Those experiences with her became my training ground for learning how to be present with that energy in those landmines, to just stop and listen to what the body had to say, and then say thank you to the body. But here's the big aha. I realized something more important than me listening and thanking the body was the client listening and thanking their body. Because ultimately, the relationship that matters most is between them and their body. So when I came upon one of these landmines, what mattered most wasn't that I was listening. It was that the client was. Because the body didn't absorb that pain for me. It did it for them. Also, when I come upon one of these landmines, many times both the client and I would feel it at the same time. And it would surprise both of us, like I'd woken something up. We'd both feel the muscle go bam, bam, bam. And I'd say out loud, well, hello, what do we have here? And sometimes, along with the muscle reaction, I'd feel a surge of energy move through me like a current. And with that current came emotion like terror, sadness, loneliness. And also, back in those early years, I'd actually see flashes of what the trauma might have been, like abusive childhoods, drug addiction, war, gunshots, death. All of it was way beyond my scope of practice to help someone process and work through. And I'm guessing that's why the images eventually stopped coming. But what is in my scope of practice, what I can do, is work with the clients to move that energy out of the body. And over the years, I discovered 2 more steps that help move the energy out of the body. So, with 4 simple steps, the client and I could move that energy out together. But when I'd come upon one of these landmines, I didn't always jump right into the 4 steps. Because remember, I was working at a vacation resort. People were coming in expecting a relaxing massage, not deep emotional work. So I had to be really discerning. I had to feel a sense of safety with them and a kind of openness or connection before going there. And sometimes it wasn't even my decision. I'd get what felt like a tap on the shoulder from the universe, almost like it was saying, "You know what you need to do. Do it." I have to admit, sometimes I'd try to shoo it away like a fly. Not now, I think. They're not ready. I'm not ready. Or many times it was just like, ugh, I just don't feel like it. But if it was important, that nudge would come back. Stronger, clearer. It was more like a slap to the head. One time it was so insistent, I actually had to wake up a sleeping client so they could go through the 4 steps with me. And sometimes I just knew the moment was right. The client was open, the connection was there, and that's when I'd invite them into the process. What I found is the easiest way to bring them in was just to ask, "Hey, do you want to be a little hippie with me?" And everyone says yes to that. Now, if I ask, "Hey, do you want to do an exorcism with me?" That's not going to land. But it's kind of like what it feels like. It feels like we're moving something out. In fact, I have a client, I call her my exorcism ninja because she is so good at doing this 4-step process with me. So once the client says yes to, "Do you want to be a little hippie with me?" I move into the 4-step process. I start by giving the client a little instruction. I'd say, "Okay, I'm going to do some strokes over this area. I'm going to be going over the same muscle a few times. All I want you to do is say in your head, 'I'm listening.' Just keep repeating, 'I'm listening.' That's it. I don't expect you to understand what you're hearing. Just let your body know that you're listening." Then I'd keep moving back and forth over that spot again and again. After they listened, the next thing I have them say in their head to their body is, "Thank you. Thank you for taking the hit for me." Just keep repeating, "Thank you." Those 2 steps, listening and thanking the body, most of the time, that's all it takes to start moving the old energy out. The 3rd step came to me in a flash of insight. I realized the body needs to hear, "It's over." Because the body, in its wisdom, holds on to these hits, thinking it's protecting the person. It doesn't realize the threat is long gone. It's probably decades old. A childhood trauma, usually something that happened before the age of 18. So after listening and saying thank you, I'd have them say in their head over and over, "It's over," as I continue to massage back and forth over the spot. Then came the 4th step. This one evolved over time. At first, I was having the client tell their body, "It's okay to let this go," that it's okay to release what it's been holding on to. But one day, years later, I had another flash of insight. It's not just okay, it's safe. What the body really needs to hear is, "It's safe to let this go." Because when the body knows it's safe, it can finally release what it's been holding. So after a few passes with "It's over," I'd have them say in their head, "It's safe to let this go." So those are the 4 steps. I'm listening, thank you, it's over, and it's safe to let this go. And the beautiful thing is, it doesn't even matter what the trauma was or what put the energy in there in the first place. And that's a relief for both me and the client. All I needed to know was the energy was there and how to help the client release it. I know this might sound a little out there or hard to believe, but when we're actually going through the 4 steps and we both feel the landmine dissolve, by the end, there's no question that something powerful has happened. We both felt it. The process is intense. It's moving. And sometimes the tears come during the session. Sometimes they come later on the drive home or that night. One man I worked on came back the next morning. He was with his wife and he said, "I just want you to know, I cried like a baby last night after our massage." And his wife just nodded like, "Yep, he did." I just want to say how honored I am to be part of this process, to be there in those quiet, powerful moments when something old finally lets go. It feels like a privilege every single time. So as we close off episode 7 of Coding Wellness, I want to leave you with something you can try. If there's a place in your own body that's holding tension or even pain, rest your hand there for a moment. And in your mind, say the 4 steps one at a time. I'm listening. Thank you. It's over. And it's safe to let this go. Hold each step for as long as feels comfortable before moving to the next. Repeat the words of the step you're on in your mind over and over. And if someone you care about is hurting, you can offer this to them too. Even just holding the intention to help is like a form of prayer, and it's a gift to them. If you try it and you feel like sharing your experience, come tell me about it in the comments on Instagram or Facebook. In the next episode, I'm going to shift gears a little, because while all this was unfolding in the massage room, another part of my story was beginning. I was also going to nutrition school, and what I uncovered there sparked the birth of Sweet Fire. Thank you for listening to Coding Wellness, created and hosted by me, Mary Toscano. I hope today's episode gave you valuable insights and inspiration for your own path. You can follow Coding Wellness on Instagram and Facebook. Please rate and review the podcast, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. This podcast is meant to be listened to in order. Each episode builds on the last. So if you're just jumping in, I encourage you to go back and start from the beginning. Take care and remember, there is extraordinary potential that lies within all of us. Each one of us has talents and gifts uniquely our own, and a place where we shine the brightest. The more we live from this place, the happier we are. And remember, life, like software, can be debugged, rewritten, and optimized. Bye for now.